So, yeah, so we were discussing about Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu is not ordinary. Why? Because in this chapter, we can see this chapter is explaining about the severe austerities Hiranyakashipu did satisfy, and Hiranyakashipu obtained power from Lord Brahma. What happens is when power comes in hand, it's very risky business because after all, to do anything, we need power. We need energy. Yeah. We need the impetus, uti, yeah, utaya. But what happens is when we do not qualify to get that power, the likelihood of misusing the power is high. And then the problem is sometimes we knowingly do misuse of the power, sometimes we unknowingly do misuse of the power, and sometimes knowing or unknowingly doesn't matter because of our own selfish purposes. We just do it. Yeah, we don't want to know whether it's correct or wrong. So not even discriminating what happens with the power. So Hiranyakashipu, he obtained this boon, but he misused by harassing all the living entities within this universe. So what happens? The power of power in wrong hands is very dangerous. When one has the power in the hands, but supposed to he's supposed to know how to use the power. That's why when Dasharatha Maharaj in the royal assembly has announced that tomorrow will be the Pattabhishek of Prince Ram. That night, Ramji was very, very grave, very serious, very sober. Why? Because he feels the heaviness of that responsibility of using the power for the right purpose. Rather, if one is celebrating, wow, finally I have the power that I can do whatever I can, he will not feel the pain. He wants to enjoy, but actually the law of nature doesn't allow him to enjoy. And then what happens is he will use the power and finally he has to lose the power. Hmm. Anyway, so here Hiranyakashipu was struggling to balance or to handle the heat of power. And in this way, Narad Muni is saying, Lord Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakashipu's austerities, which were very difficult. And therefore, finally, he said, okay, Durlabhan, you have done such an amazing austerities that no one I have seen had done and will do. So he recommended one should take up power in the hands after deliberately discussing with a spiritual master. This is what is in the purport 2. In the purport 2, it is mentioned material benedictions are not always exactly worthy of being called benedictions. If one possesses more and more, a benediction itself may become a curse. For just as achieving material opulence in this material world requires great strength and endeavor, maintaining it also requires great endeavor. Lord Brahma informed Hiranyakashipu that although he was ready to offer him whatever he had asked, the result of benedictions would be very difficult for Hiranyakashipu to maintain. And the concluding in this paragraph, in this purport says, nonetheless, since Brahma had promised, he wanted to grant all benedictions asked. The word Durlabhan indicates that one should not take benedictions one cannot enjoy peacefully. But come on, how do I know that the benedictions that I'm getting, the blessings I'm getting? Sometimes we see, hey, everyone is asking, give me blessing, give me blessing. Huh? What what is the worth of the blessing if one cannot use it properly? How to know to use it properly? It is possible by being under the shelter of the spiritual master. The guru is going to guide what is the right way, how to engage the instruments and become the instrument in the hands of the spiritual master. And by doing this, one becomes instrumental in the plans of the spiritual master. Yeah. ततो जगाम भगवान् अमोघानुग्रहो विभो पूजितोऽसुरवर्येण Stuyamana Prajeshwaraha. Uh, and then Lord Brahma finally he left without anugraha, without failure, the blessings will work. And then what happened? Evam labdhavaro daityo, demon is demon after all. Yeah, if one is, yeah, of course, forget about demons. Even we can talk about who is that in Mahabharat, Karna. Karna. You know what happens? He had a plan. He want to please Parashuram. No. Yeah. Yeah. So he starts serving Parashuram so that he can. Parashuram, right? Is it someone else? Um, yes, Parashuram. Because um even Bhishma Dev also, his guru is Parashuram. Anyway, Karna goes and because he should cover his identity as Kshatriya, otherwise Parashuram will kill. He will not going to give all the special Vidya to him. So finally, what happened? So he tried to. This is sometimes what we do is we try to hide our identity and we always may pose ourselves great. A Kshatriya is not a Kshatriya if he is showing himself to be a Brahman. Similarly, a Brahmana is not a Brahman if he is not demonstrating Brahman qualities. And a Vaishya is not a Vaishya if in the garb of Brahmana he is still doing business. So here it is mentioned, Hiranyakashipu, yeah, the power comes in, though of course he became a yogi, right? He became a master of mystic yoga, that even the world started shaking, becoming warm. But afterwards, all these things, ideally we may see, if you have little understanding of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we know that if one is attaining such a level of perfection, one is almost at samadhi, which means forgetting oneself that his body, that as if like he is realized who is his, what is his self. But what happened? Uh, in spite of that, there is always something. Who was asking? I don't know. Aditya Sabha, you are there? The call.
Yes, Guruji.
Today we were discussing about. Yeah, you are asking, na Prabhupada disciples.
Yes,
Huh?
Guruji.
Within a sprint of
Yeah.
like 30-40 years, they have attained such a great level of perfection. In that regard, I was mentioning, yeah, it's not that they're starting from zero. Yeah, they're starting already from somewhere, that they already have piety, they already have bhakti results working for them. So similarly, what happened is Hiranyakashipu, though he becomes a yogi, it doesn't mean that he's already perfection in his yoga. He also has always absorbed in one thing. And for Hiranyakashipu downfall, what was that? He was remembering Hiranyaksha, his brother. As soon as when he remembers his brother, who comes to his mind? Lord Vishnu. Why? Because he killed his brother. And then he started becoming more and more envious. And the purport Prabhupada says a demoniac person, in spite of acquiring all the opulence possible to obtain in this universe, continues to be envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hmm. And then Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of entire universe. Why? Because if someone is envious, what they will do? They compete with the person. Yes, come on, come on. He's not great. I am great. Okay, to become great, what I should do? I create everything, maybe convincingly from inside by nature or by seeing, hey, you know, he is famous because of this. Let me do the same thing. People respect him because he talks like that. He sits like this. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying how a yogi behaves. Oh, let me behave like that, that I can become a better yogi than the other yogi. No, I'm not talking about Yogi Narayan Adit. What is it? Yogi? Um,
Aditya
Yogi
Yogi Narayana, I think.
Aditya Yogi Narayan. Yogi ji. Anyway. So Yeah, and so if Lord Vishnu is glorified that he is the master of the all the three worlds, Hiranyakashipu can become only when he also becomes the master of all three worlds. Then he started occupying all the universes, entire universe. Sorry, he conquered the upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of human beings, Gandharvas, Garudas. Uh, what is the word? Khagas. Let me see. What is that? There is a nice word. Gandharva, Siddha, Garuda, Chanara, Urugan. Urugan. Urugans are not just small snakes, they are great serpents with many hoods. Hmm? So, and then Chanaras, Vidyadharas, no one, including Narad Muni himself, is saying that even mm, I have not maintained my independence. He's saying Devadyoya Shriya Justam. He's saying and the place is amazingly pleasing in the heaven. He started living there. And then Yatra Vidruma Sopana, and this is also explaining about Swargaloka. And then there is this mention that Hiranyakashipu lived in a palace and severely ruled everyone. How how is the word severe is just Chanda Shasana. This is sometimes we may hear in our yeah, maybe Hollywood, Bollywood, I don't know. Chanda Shasana. This Chanda Shasana Shasana is governance, and Chanda means utterly severe, cruel, he aggressively ruling. In purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says has compared Hiranyakashipu to Maharaj Vena. Huh? In fact, this is also the reason why Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami, how come Lord favored Shishupal? No, no, sorry. Yudhishthira is asking how Lord favored Shishupal but not favored King Vena. So here anyway, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has compared Hiranyakashipu to Maharaj Vena, who was also atheistic and scornful of the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. Yet, Maharaj Vena was afraid of some of the great sages, such as Bhrigu, whereas Hiranyakashipu ruled in such a way that everyone feared but Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva. Hiranyakashipu was so alert against being burnt to ashes by the anger of the great sages like Bhrigu that by the dint of austerity he surpassed their power and placed even them under his subordination. It appears that even in the higher planetary systems to which people are promoted by pious activities, disturbances are created by asuras like Hiranyakashipu. And Prabhupada concludes this paragraph: no one in the three worlds can live in peace and prosperity without disturbance. So it is only foolish utopian expectation of every living being that thinking, hey, maybe tomorrow there is a day when there is no problem, there is no struggle for existence will end. No, that will never happen, even if one goes to higher planets. तं तमङ्गमत्तं मधुनोर्गन्धिना विवृत्ति ताम्राक्षम् अशेषधिष्णपाः उपासतो पायन पाणिभिर्विना त्रिभिस्तपो योग बलोजसां पदम्. Ojas means power. Ojasam, power of the senses. You know, Hiranyakashipu was drunk so much on strong smelling wine, etc. Therefore, his eyes, coppery eyes, were always rolling. Huh? So, with that, everything was under his control. All but the principal demigods, Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, personally worshipped him to please him by bringing him various presentations with their own hands. Huh? That is the position that is, and then here it is said, this shloka 14, it says, Jagur Mahendrasanam Ojasa Stitam Vishwavasu Tumburur Asmat Adyaya Gandharva Siddha Rishayostu Muhur Vidya Dharas Chapsara Cha Pandava. He is saying, you know what? Hiranyakashipu, being situated on the throne of King Indra, controlled all the inhabitants of all the planets. The two Gandharvas, Vishwavasu and Tumburu, I myself, and Vidyadharas, Apsaras, and sages all offered prayers to him again and again. Now, when Narad Muni is pure devotee who knows that he is not the body, who is always serving the Lord and Lord always gives protection, still he surrendered to Hiranyakashipu. How to understand this? In the purport, it is said the Asuras sometimes become so powerful that they can engage even Narad Muni and similar devotees in their service. This does not mean that Narada was subordinate to Hiranyakashipu. Sometimes, however, it is so happens that in this material world, that great personalities, even great devotees, can also be controlled by asuras. And anyway, in this way, all the great gifts and all these things were provided to him, as if in fear of Hiranyakashipu, Mother Earth was producing uh, food, grains, cows were supplying abundant milk, and outer space was beautifully decorated with wonderful phenomena. So Hiranyakashipu didn't have to do anything. Just with his wink of eye, he scared everything, and everything were out of fear they were producing. It said here the milk automatically came. Kama Duga of heaven. Duga um, was producing milk. Hmm. So Ratnakara from the seas, all these corals. What is the word used here? Ratnakara, the seas and ocean, and Ratna Oghan, various kinds of gems on various stones. Tat Patnyam, the wives of the oceans. Who are the wives of oceans? Namely the rivers. Uhu carried uh, uh, the waves of salt water, ocean of wine. There are all these kinds of oceans. They were offering everything to Hiranyakashipu's use. Yeah, hey, these are. Uh, so in this way, everything was so much. Saila dronibhir akridam sarva sarva sarvartushu gunan drumaha dadhara lokapalanam eka eva pratyek gunan. Uh, so the qualities of pouring water, drying and burning, which are all qualities of the three departmental heads. Who is that? Indra, Varun, Indra, Vayu, and Agni were all directed by Hiranyakashipu alone, without assistance of demigod. He didn't need. uh, and 19th verse is important. Sa itam nirjita kakub ekarad vishayan priyan yatopa josham bunjano na atrapyad achitendriya. What happened? Come on. When such a person who has complete control, now Trump wants control of not just US, what is the other country? Greenland. What is this land near Denmark, or they're struggling to
Greenland, Prabhuji.
Greenland, right? I always confuse with Iceland. So it's Greenland or Iceland?
Greenland.
Greenland.
Okay. So he is struggling for that, and of course, there are so many such rulers. They want to expand. Okay, I want to become the king, leader, and all. No, Hiranyakashipu attained everything, but still, what happened? Sa iddam nirjita kakub. Kakub means all directions. He conquered. Nirjita means he conquered all the directions. Sa iddam nirjitam kakub. Ekarad. Ekarad means one emperor. Eka one rad rat. I don't know, maybe why here also in Germany we have Rat. The meaning of Rat means one ruler, emperor. Vishayan Priyan, material sense objects, but he had so much love for his senses. In spite of having achieved the power of control in all directions, he controlled everything outside, but he could not control his senses. Why? Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their slaves. And Prabhupada in the purport says this is the example of Asuric life. Atheist can advance materially and create an extremely comfortable situation for the senses. But because they are controlled by the senses, they cannot be satisfied. This is effect of modern civilization. If we don't remind ourselves the reality from the pages of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, we are losing a wonderful opportunity to be free from this bondage. If we still have full confidence in enjoyment in this material world, then we are eventually we are eventually becoming losers. एवं ऐश्वर्यमत्तस्य दृप्तस्योच्छास्त्रवर्तिना ut shastravartina transgressing the regulative principles. Shastravartina, he is so Hiranyakashipu does finish. Uh, in fact, when one commits such kind of offenses, one can very easily attract infection. What is this infection? Curse. Just like a patient, he is very sensitive. A patient is very sensitive, or a person who is not so strong, he is sensitive to infections. Hiranyakashipu's weakness, what was his weakness? He was not guarding himself. He was not guarding him. No, come on. He has such a powerful weapons. He is has such a wonderful boons, but still he left open, free. He didn't allow to control the senses. The senses were loose. Senses were pulling, and because of that, he was subjected therefore to a curse by the four Kumaras. In the purport, Prabhupada says, yes, Shastra Vidim Utsrujya Vartate Kamakaratah na sa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. Na sukham na param gatim. What happens? He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims. Yeah. What is his fate? Neither he attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So Shastra Vidim is very important. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastitau Gnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulation of scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. One should act according to the direction of Shastra, but the material energy is so powerful that as soon as one becomes materially opulent, he begins to transgress the Shastric laws. As soon as one transgresses the laws of Shastra, he immediately enters upon the path of destruction. Now, this is the conclusion. Why to speak about material even in spiritual life if we are not careful? We may think, no, I am doing service. I am doing service. This is service. Come on. Are we sure that are we doing really service to the Lord and devotees, or are we doing self-service? As soon as we transgress the principles of devotion, if we are not doing that, what is the principle of devotion? Without any vancha kalpatarubhyascha, oh come on, I can desire so many. No, we are not desiring anything for us. For the pleasure of the Lord, okay. As soon as one transgresses the laws of Shastras, spiritual also, he immediately enters upon the path of destruction. Tasyogra danda samvigna sarve loka sapalakaha anyatra labdha sharanaha sharanam yayur achyutam. Eve, everyone, including the rulers of various planets, was extremely distressed because of severe punishment inflicted by Hiranyakashipu. Fearful and disturbed, upon to find unable to find any shelter, they took shelter of Vishnu. Purport here it's clearly saying Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhrada Sarva Bhutanam Nyatva Mam Shantirichyati. It is said Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Everyone of course want to be happy, but we don't know how to become happy. The solution is here. Bhoktaram. We are trying to work and earn something and enjoy it as if like we deserve, yeah, because we worked. Yeah, to our mind it may look like that, but reality is not that. Why? Because the fruits of what we earn is also to be offered to the Lord. Why? Because the Lord is giving everything. Similarly, yajna. If at all one is performing yajna, bhoktaram, who is the one all this yajna should be offered to? Lord, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, to the Lord of uh, the universe, Jagannath, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. And what happens? Hrida Sarva Bhutanam, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities attains peace from Shantir Jnatva Mam Shantir, peace from the pangs of material miseries. So the Lord grants peace. After all, we all want peace, at least peace. Come on. If not happiness, at least peace. For that also, what we should do, we should offer service to the Lord. Similarly, if in distress one seeks shelter of a demigod, he is foolish. And if his efforts will be fruitless, for his efforts will be fruitless. In all circumstances, one should seek the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then there will be no longer, no danger under any circumstances. And someone say, what is the time? I can't see it. Okay, 7. It's 9. Where are we now? 20. Wow, 21. Okay, so we'll cover next part next week. Or just let me see. Okay, at least one prayer. Na? After all, they have come to Vishnu. Let's take one prayer. What did the demigods offer? Tasmai namostu kashtaye yatratma haririshvaraha yagat gatva na nivartante shanta sanyasino malaha iti te samyatatmanah samahita dhiyo malaha upatastur ऋषिकेशं विनिद्रा वायुभोजनाः. It is said, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated, where those purified souls in the renounced order of life, the great saintly persons go, and from which, having gone, they never return. Without sleep, fully controlling their minds and living on only their breath, the predominating deities of various planets began worshipping Rishikesha with this meditation. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. ग्रन्थराज श्रीमद्भागवतं की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.